When we look at technical specs or engineering readouts, we really expect pure precision, like a millimeter is a millimeter, right?
Yeah, exactly. A byte is a byte. There is no ambiguity.
But the second those numbers hit the boardroom, well, that precision kind of vanishes. Suddenly you are swimming in this murky ocean of corporate idioms and
Well,
metaphors.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Surviving a tough meeting isn't just about having the right data. It's really about understanding the psychology behind the delivery.
Which brings us to our deep dive today. We got our hands on a really fascinating presentation deck. It's titled TD0045 Technical Discussions, and we are unpacking 5 essential English idioms used in high-level corporate and technical meetings.
Right. And the goal here isn't just to give you definitions. It's to show you how to wield these phrases as strategic tools to elevate your own professional communication.
Yeah, because these idioms exist to manage tension and signal competence. So let's start with disaster management. Say a project gets delayed, panic sets in.
Right. The immediate instinct is to just focus on the fallout.
Exactly. But our source highlights the phrase silver lining. Now, telling your team to find the silver edge of a dark cloud, I mean, isn't that just blind optimism?
Well, far from it, actually. It functions as a psychological pivot. Say you tell a room of executives that a delay is frustrating, but the silver lining is having more time for rigorous testing.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, you are actively managing their emotional response. You acknowledge the bad news so they feel heard, but you instantly anchor the room to a hidden opportunity. It prevents a panic spiral.
It feels almost like internal PR, like a survival tactic. You're keeping morale intact because, let's face it, fixing that delay means the team is about to execute a massive recovery.
Right.
They're going to have to burn the midnight oil.
Which brings up the optics of hard work. The imagery is about burning a late-night oil lamp. You aren't just staying late at the office. You are burning the midnight oil to prep the tech roadmap for the board.
Okay, so it sounds more noble.
Exactly. The phrase transforms raw, exhausting hours into a signal of intense commitment. It shows leadership that you have control over the crisis, projecting this responsible, dedicated image rather than a chaotic one.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so you've managed the emotional fallout and you've put in the grueling hours, but, brute force only gets you so far.
Right. Eventually, you have to work smarter.
Which brings us to a phrase that honestly makes me roll my eyes a bit. Think outside the box.
Oh, yeah. The classic.
Right. If management tells you to reduce manufacturing costs without compromising quality by thinking outside the box, aren't they just politely telling you to break the rules without actually changing the rules?
It absolutely feels like a trap sometimes. But structurally, it acts as explicit permission to temporarily suspend standard operating procedures, or SOPs.
Wait, really? Permission?
Yeah. By telling your team to step out of that confining box, you are signaling that the usual constraints just don't apply for this specific problem. It lowers the psychological risk of proposing radical solutions.
Okay, so it removes the fear of getting in trouble for weird ideas. And once you find that radical solution, you want to scale it. That is when we hit upper management's absolute favorite verb, leverage.
Oh, leverage.
To me, leverage sounds like the ultimate corporate superpower, doing more with less.
It is all about asymmetry. Think about how you operate daily. You aren't starting from scratch every time. You use a small force for a massive impact.
Right, like using what you already have.
Exactly.
Yep.
You look for an existing asset, maybe it's a massive batch of customer feedback that can be leveraged to optimize the next generation of reducers. You multiply the value of a resource you already own.
Wow. Okay, but think about the last time you deployed a strategy like that. You probably faced pushback, or maybe watched competitor make wild performance claims to steal your thunder.
Oh, definitely. That happens all the time.
So our toolkit tells us to take it with a grain of salt until we see actual data. But come on, isn't that just polite corporate speak for, I think they're lying?
Well, I mean, it is a tactical defense mechanism. The memory trick is needing a grain of salt to swallow something unpalatable. You don't want to accuse a competitor of outright deception.
Right, because that burns bridges.
Yeah, and it makes you look aggressive. So by saying you need a grain of salt to swallow their claims, you project calm, healthy skepticism. You demand hard evidence, saving face for everyone involved.
That is brilliant. So look at the toolkit you now have at your disposal. You can use a silver lining to reframe setbacks, burn the midnight oil, to signal your dedication, think outside the box, to bypass restrictive SOPs,
Yep.
leverage, to scale your existing assets, and take things with a grain of salt to defend your position.
It really is a complete rhetorical strategy for navigating the modern workplace. It turns those muddy waters into stepping stones.
It really is. Which leaves you with an interesting thought for your next big meeting. If leverage is currently the undisputed king of buzzwords for maximizing corporate output, well, what totally new phrase is waiting in the wings to define the next era of workplace efficiency for you to master?
That is a great question.
Keep an ear out because the language of business never stops evolving.